Saint Trina is an enigmatic figure in the history of the lands between. Being the saint of sleep, she perhaps was not the most popular amongst believers. She was only worshipped in Erdtree, the liturgical town, and only 3 of her followers were ever mentioned in the game. Fever, the man utterly captivated by Saint Trina, Dolores, the sleeping arrow of the Round Table hold, who was a priest of the saint, and Thiollier, tarnished specialist in poison, a devoted follower incapable of betrayal. Thiollier mentions Saint Trina being a discarded second half of Miquella, an Empyrean demigod, and so does Needle Knight Leda, who serves Kindly Miquella. Seeing this fact being well known and openly discussed by followers of both deities, many people in Elden Ring community took it as a straightforward confirmation that Saint Trina and Empyrean Miquella were the same person, different forms of one entity. But what if I told you that Saint Trina was, as her name suggests, a third deity, born from a union of Miquella and someone or something else? Just as the main game, the DLC The Shadow of the Erdtree, borrows inspiration from the history and legends of the real world, we see parallels between Mesmer the Impaler and his crusade against the Hornsent and Alexander the Great, his campaign against Persian Empire. The battle we see in the DLC trailer can remind us of the siege of Halicarnassus, where a historic noblewoman of real-world's region of Caria sided with Alexander. And so can the story of Saint Trina be traced to an ancient Greek legend about Hermaphroditus. Let me tell you the story, and decide for yourself if you would see the saint of sleep in a different light. As told by Ovid in Metamorphosis, Hermaphroditus, born of 2 gods, Hermes and Aphrodite, was a beautiful young boy. Once he went traveling to the woods of Caria, where he met a nymph Salmacis and her pool. Salmacis was a naiad, a type of a nymph or a spirit residing in the bodies of fresh water. She was known for her unusual vanity and idleness. Enamored with the boy's beauty, she approached him but got rejected. After the nymph left, Hermaphroditus went for a swim in the pool, only to be attacked by her, forcefully embracing and kissing the boy. Excited, she prayed to God so they may never be parted, and they answered her prayers, turning the 2 bodies into one. In ancient Greece, Hermaphroditus was known to represent androgyny, commonly depicted as a female with male genitals. As he struggled, the boy also prayed to gods, asking that whoever bathes in the pool gets cursed the same way. You may ask, where exactly is the connection here, aside from the in-game model of Saint Trina being a large purple flower embracing a figure that allegedly belongs to Miquella. The most common collectible item connected to Saint Trina that we find in the lands between are Trina's lilies, and precisely water lilies, as we learn from the description of the item. Water lilies are symbols of the saint, and a single flower of this kind was the only thing left by the saint of sleep after she fell. So it's only fair to guess that the plant, entangled with the human-like figure, could be a water lily. The family of flowering plants, commonly known as water lilies, are named inspired by the nymphs of ancient Greek mythology. Thus we can say the body of Saint Trina is a figure embraced by a nymph. And from the description of the word of Saint Trina, we know that some worshippers saw her as a young girl, others were sure he was a boy. The demigod Miquella is always mentioned as he, a brother, a son. However, Saint Trina, the result of his union with a water lily, is androgynous, like Hermaphroditus' cursed body in the legend. On a cross near the place where the Saint of Sleep was abandoned, we learned that it was the land where Miquella abandoned his love. Specifically, in the Japanese original it says, Waga ai o koko ni shiteru. If you're a native Japanese speaker, please correct me in the comments, but as far as I know, ai is the word used specifically for romantic love. It's not his empathy or the ability to love that Miquella left there, it was his actual love. As we discussed in the beginning, both Thiollier and Leda call Saint Trina Miquella's abandoned half. Thiollier even being scared to be chastised by Miquella for falling for the Saint of Sleep. But to become one not only in a literal way of physically mixing, but also, for example, in a sacrament of holy matrimony, a lifelong commitment that Hermaphroditus became a symbol of. The nymph who once received our boy Hermaphroditus in her kindly arms and bred him to become an extraordinary man who invented matrimony for mankind and was the first to fasten the matrimonial bed by law. She in turn, under the sacred streams dripping in the cave, tempers the savage minds of men. Saint Trina, the third entity, metaphysically born from the union between young demigod Miquella and a nymph, or perhaps a self-aware plant like Miranda, maybe even a part of the flower crucible, was a representation of love. The purpose of today's video was to relay the story of Hermaphroditus and draw a parallel between his fate and the creation of Saint Trina. However, as I was preparing and writing the script, I came up with 3 further questions we can discuss. The answers I would provide are merely my suggestions, and I would love to hear your own theories in the comments. Was the flower Miquella came in contact with really a lily? When exactly did their union happen? And who is the body inside Saint Trina? To answer the first question, for the longest time I thought Saint Trina was a water lily, but after hearing the story of her devoted worshipper Thiollier, I am no longer as sure. In fact, I believe that the flower in question was a nightshade, mistaken for a water lily. You see, lilies are a symbol of Saint Trina, but they represent an already unified form of 2 bodies. They were flowers beloved by Miquella. Although this might be another riddle leading to the fact young Miquella was in love with a nymph, a play of words. As we know from the description of multiple items, Saint Trina gave a sweet, gentle sleep, but once left, casted aside by Miquella as his abandoned half, it withered and fell. Nothing truly dies in the lands between, and the forgotten plant kept giving nectar, but one far richer and darker than the sweet balm it produced in union with the demigod, the shape of the bud of the nectar blood virgin, something that grew from the abandoned half of Saint Trina's blood, the intensity of its dark nectar's poison, and the shape and color of Thiollier's concoction altogether make me believe that the flower Miquella once united with was a sort of nightshade, or even, precisely, a belladonna flower, a highly poisonous plant known to be used as a murder weapon historically. No surprise it was discovered by Thiollier, whose sole profession was creating deadly concoctions. And perhaps his visions under the influence of the dark nectar, the ones of a beautiful lady, are another play of words, hinting at belladonna flowers. Some nightshades were even used in real life to create love potions. Was it a reason why Miquella united with the plant, or was it a skill he learned to charm his followers? When exactly was Saint Trina created? Was she a part of Miquella's journey to abandon his flesh and become a god, or did it happen before Miquella even became an Empyrean? I can see both timelines being correct, but personally I like to imagine that Miquella created Saint Trina a long time ago and left in her embrace his body cursed with eternal childhood. After all, physically, those are 2 different beings, as we learn from the descriptions of the nectar blood virgin and the Empyrean blood virgin. They had different blood. Besides a needle called bewitching branch, the one that is able to turn a foe into a temporary ally seems to be crafted after a real lulling branch. Perhaps infused into the golden needle was the charming effect of the love potion the demigod learned from his once other half, and perhaps the unnerving representation of the adult Saint Trina on the torch was the new body of Miquella that his worshippers did not recognize at first. But those are simply speculations, as in Miquella's Erdtree we see statues of his child form, and the adult version of the god is never represented in the culture of his followers. The last highly speculative theory I want to discuss with you is the body inside of Saint Trina's remains. It's a body of a child, but in the trailer we see a different, adult version of Saint Trina, whose attire reminds us of the flower petals. Besides reading the description of Thiollier's garments, we learn that the silver hair is arranged in the same way as Saint Trina's. The hair on the head of the remains, though, are let down with no braids, the style similar to Thiollier we can see on Miquella's childlike model. And we also know that Saint Trina came to some as a young girl and to others as a boy. Could it be that there used to be two bodies, united in an eternal embrace, that once were the saint of sleep? And to theorize even further, could the entangled bodies of Miquella and his beloved flower be the source from where Moog stole the weak body of the Empyrean demigod, thus leaving Saint Trina cut in half to wither and fall? To these questions I have no definitive answer, but I can say for sure that the creation of Saint Trina, the androgynous symbol of uniting two into one, has strong parallels with the legend of Hermaphroditus that cannot be overlooked. Thank you for joining me today in this unusual video on my channel. I hope you liked it, and I hope to make more Elden Ring lore videos in the future. Leave a like and consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next one.